Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm very pleased to have with us today Sabeeh Hameed of SaberHub. Sabeeh, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Doug. Happy to be here.
And we have once again our good friend Robert Galop of Creo. Robert, thank you for joining me today.
Doug, great to be with you too.
So today's topic is SMS texting, now more important than ever, not just a way, and very importantly, a way to reach friends and colleagues and so on, family, but it's increasingly the main way that businesses talk to their customers, often the way customers contact centers and so on. And yet there's a big roadblock coming up, a big speed bump, I should really say. What is that, Sabeeh? What's coming at us?
Yeah, so we are hearing that on December 1st, as reported by many solution providers in the SMS space, that essentially all A2P SMS traffic is going to be blocked by downstream carriers. And so that includes all sorts of traffic from UCAS one-to-one messaging all the way to SMS campaigns and appointment reminders and so on. So it's going to be a pretty heavily impacted event.
So this impacts everybody. It doesn't just impact large enterprises. It sounds like all sorts of organizations will feel this.
Yeah, so Doug, we've been talking. Sabeeh's been talking with everybody in the industry. In our work with service providers, is we're helping them add solutions into their stack. We've been talking with them as well as their downstream customers, and what we're seeing is that a couple of things. One is the service providers are kind of kicking the can down the road for this registration to their customers. And their customers are also looking to the application providers for help, right? So everybody's kind of kicking the can almost in circles as we're looking at this registration process. And as we think about what this is going to mean once we get to this December 1 deadline, is your local florist who is texting out to people with updates, taking orders potentially over SMS, those capabilities are going to go away if they haven't already registered their campaigns and their traffic with TCR. And we're seeing a lot of gaps in this entire registration process in getting that done, which is why we're excited that we've got Sabeeh and what he's built to put in front of the service providers.
And I think what we're about to see, what you guys are about to show us, is that, well, let's just say the process looks painful when you actually see it.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a quick view of a video here that'll actually show the existing process. You can see that it's tons and tons of fields, and I like to think about it as asking these brands to essentially learn a brand new language, when it comes to the registration process. Robert, like you mentioned, florists, when it comes down to selecting a campaign type, a pizza shop and all these other small businesses, even the larger enterprises, it can become cumbersome to understand a whole new domain just to be able to make sure your SMS traffic stays on.
Yep. Yeah. So this really excited here with what Sabeeh is going to show us. If you take a look at this form and think about this from the perspective of a florist or a car dealer or what have you, they're not going to know what any of these pieces are. All they're going to know is that on December 2nd, when they come in and start to text people, they're not going to see their text messages going through, and they're going to call their service provider, and then the service provider is going to call the texting provider, and it's going to be a lot of tickets going back and forth.
So I understand we have a video to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about what the process looks like. The trip to the dentist.
All right.
There it goes. So we're in here. This is essentially how CSPs are handling the process today. You can see it's this cumbersome form. I mean, field after field after field of stuff that a brand can't be expected to know how to complete. It's overwhelming, and like to think about it again like it's learning a new language. And we want to take away the complexity from this process.
So let me ask a very basic question. Who has to fill this form out?
This would be the brand. So this is your small businesses. That's going to be all your florists, your dental office, clinics, pizza shops, cafes, anyone who, is essentially sending text messages to their customers today is going to need to be able to fill out this form in a way where not one field is incorrect. Otherwise, it'll get rejected, and they'll have to actually pay another fee to have it reassessed.
So the implications of this are huge, because you're telling me the guy that's going to come over and text me, okay, I'm going to fix your roof now, the repairman, the two nice guys that run the place I like to buy lunch at and text me that lunch is ready, right? All those people are going to be impacted by this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And at a higher level, medium-sized and larger organizations are facing the same challenge.
That's correct. So the way this impacts, the entire wider ecosystem, every business that has any kind of texting service with their customer is going to get impacted. So whether it's your small business or whether it's your large enterprises, and large enterprises, many times they have multiple different campaigns. So they may not only need to do one of these forms, they may actually need to do multiple for each different use case that they're using to interact with their customers. On one hand, it may be a UCaaS type use case where they're just having individual customer service, customer success type conversations for support and so on. Those are more one-to-one. In another case, they may be sending, appointment reminders or meeting reminders. Finally, you have, SMS is a great channel for marketing. And so you have these SMS campaign tools who are, where the use case is more meant to be a broadcast of SMS. Every one of those use cases is being impacted with the way this December 1st deadline is coming.
Yeah, and Doug, this form, if you think about just the one company that has to fill this out, and maybe they have several forms that they've got to fill out, we're also seeing where service providers are trying to do this for their customers. So if you've got a service provider that's got 1,000 customers, they're going in and doing this 1,000 times over, right? So think about the person power and the cycles that this is sucking up for these companies. It's really quite a challenge here for the industry right now.
It's interesting that the challenge is that small d democratic. In other words, you're saying is a large or medium-sized city government, for example, is going to be facing many man hours basically filling this form out with hundreds of applications.
Exactly. And that's just the part where the application is filled. Before the application is filled, there's a whole set of steps that are actually required to bring these brands up to the level where their online presence, their websites, their opt-ins, and all that is actually at the level where it will be accepted down the line. So this is just filling out the information, assuming that you have everything, all your ducks in a row already, right? And so, as we continue, we'll talk about all the different factors that are at play here, because as this form is submitted, it doesn't, that's not everything, right? Because the actual opt-ins and your online presence have to be in order before the campaign is actually accepted down the line. And remember, we have people sitting here actually clicking on every company's websites, crawling through the websites, right? They're looking at their terms of service. They're looking at their privacy policy. They're looking at what, the opt-in form logic. Starting November 6th, we know that if the SMS, if the phone number field in the SMS opt-in is an optional field, if it's a required field, that opt-in will be considered a forced opt-in and is at risk of getting rejected down the line. And so with our platform context register, we're looking at, this problem in a holistic way to not only simplify the actual information that we're collecting from the brands, we're abstracting away a lot of the complexity, in the process, but we're also giving them what they need using our quick comply functionality. And so what that does is it actually provides a line of code that a brand is able to just add to their Wix website or Squarespace or Shopify or whatever have you. And I'm just trying to find that line here. There we go. And so with Quick Comply, we actually give them this one line of code that's shown here on the right-hand side. and that gives them essentially a fully compliant opt-in experience. So not only is this something they can just copy and paste on their website, it's one line of code that includes the legal disclaimers, that includes the terms of service, the privacy policy, all the opt-in form logic. And so you can see here, as I pull it up, you can see it's got the opt-in form. The opt-in form has the pre-configured legal language that's needed to actually come into compliance. So this is what the approvers down the line are actually looking for. So we want to help them out by making it easier for the brands to come into compliance. Then we want to make it easy for them to actually register and submit, and be able to get their messaging activated as quickly as possible.
So I think what I just learned is you can fill this form out and you think you're there, but you're not there yet.
Exactly right.
There's some other steps, and you could have some big surprises.
Exactly right. And what we do here is, because during the process, there is during the process, as soon as this application is submitted, what happens is, it gets sent down to the downstream providers to actually vet this information, right? So what we're doing here, what you're seeing is we include website validation, which is checking over 30 different points, on 30 different data points about that website and that brand's online presence, to make sure that when they submit that application, they're ready to go. Right. So we have 6 kind of overall categories here, but we're really combing through the website to make sure that it's not a single page landing page, that the SSL certificate is active, that all the legal and the legal language for the terms of service, the privacy policy, we're actually checking all of this information here in real time. It takes up to a minute to basically comb through all this to make sure that when the application is submitted, we're not submitting bad information, right? When we submit an application, we want to have confidence that, when it's received, it's going to check all the boxes. And so we're actually doing a lot of the pre-vetting before the submission process, so that brands don't end up wasting their money, for each registration.
So my understanding is that we're also looking at some simplification in this process.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we looked at, from the form perspective, what that process could look like. And what we've done is, by researching the process and experimenting with the submission process, understanding the use cases, for what customers need in order to actually register their messaging, we've abstracted a lot of the complexity away from the complicated process. And so we've kind of brought it down to 3 simple steps here: providing the company information, providing contact information, and providing the website. So with that, we're able to actually create their application in a way that is in line with their use case, and that simplifies away a lot of the complexity, on the back end.
And you're actually chatting as opposed to having to fill out a form.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So what we've done now is we've created what we're calling our Genie experience. So rather than sending a brand to what you see here on the screen, we can actually just pop up a chat experience for them, in which they interact with our Genie chatbot. And Genie is an expert trained on all of our knowledge around the 10DLC process. So if a brand has a question about, oh, I'm a cafe or I'm a bridal salon, how does this apply to me? I have a DBA, will that be part of the process? So we've got a video here that can actually show that experience, where we have a sample company and a brand that actually just chat with our chatbot with Genie to actually get their registration completed. It's done under 4 minutes.
So what does all this look like?
That's a great question. We've got a video demo here we can actually run through, where you get to actually experience what a conversation with Genie is like. So essentially what you see here is the brand on the right-hand side actually chatting with the chatbot. and you see this GPT-like experience where GPT is actually informing the brand on what is 10DLC, why would you register for this, and then not only that, once the brand is satisfied with the information and educated about what's happening here, the chatbot goes directly into actually collecting the information in a much smoother interface than than pointing a brand to kind of a static form similar to what we saw earlier. So here you can see the Genie is providing really contextual information. So it asks, or do you have a DBA, right? As a brand, do you have a DBA? Could be yes or no. Here we entered Innovate Tech. And then it asks, what kind of legal company is this? Is this a publicly traded company? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it a private company? And so on. And even when entering misinformation or inaccurate information, you can see down below here that the Genie bot will actually understand the information presented. So since we're copying in the sample company data from over here on the left side, you can see Tech Innovations LLC is the name of the company. And Genie, when providing incorrect information, Genie actually provides a helpful hint here where it says most LLCs fall into this category. So it actually understood that you provided an LLC initially, and then for the legal form, that's more likely to be a private company than a nonprofit organization, for example. So let me jump ahead here a little bit and in the process. So once all the information is provided, we're using our AI to actually connect with the backend of Context Register and complete the full submission. So in the end, it'll confirm, hey, is all the information that you provided here correct? Is your brand up to the level where it can be, where it has a high chance of being approved, from down the line approvers? And then finally, you can see that our AI will take care of the 10DLC registration submission. It'll provide a link for the brand to track their submission, and then they can reach out if they have any other questions. So the entire experience is wrapped into this one-to-one conversation like a chatbot. So it's just like texting a 10DLC expert that's going to take care of your submission for you. And it's all powered by AI using GPT and other techniques in the back end.
So what I'm seeing here is that you have streamlined the process, and that you've kind of idiot-proofed the process too, right? That common errors are being avoided.
Yeah, our goal is really to increase the data quality coming in. And part of that really requires educating the brands on what this process is about. And so we found that rather than building an interface, you kind of have to meet them where they are to be able to explain in a way that's personalized to their use case. For example, what all is required here, and help their submission data. And help make sure that the quality of the data that they're submitting is up to par for what's expected down the line from all the approvers. And so there's, it's been really, really difficult from what we're hearing from our CSPs to actually be able to scale out registration. And now with the help of an AI that's trained on all of our expertise on 10DLC, brands can just chat normally with Genie and understand exactly what they need to do to get registered.
So Robert, are we facing a deadline?
So December 1's the date, right? So we know that the dates have moved quite a bit over the last year, but we're checking on a regular basis right now because the time is coming up very quickly, and we're making sure that December 1's the date. And from everyone we're talking to in the industry, this is it. So if you haven't registered your traffic by December 1, your business is going to be impacted, right? And that's either you as the florist or the car dealership or the serviceman, woman, but it's also the service providers and the application providers where their customers haven't been registered. They're going to see their business get impacted, and they're probably also going to see a lot of tickets coming in and a lot of phone calls coming in asking why my text messages aren't going through right now.
And let's talk about the deadline business. We've all lived through this. A lot of my readers, a lot of people have seen this before. It seems to me that taking action now, you're going to be able to at least discover where you are. You'll be more prepared. And what you just said is something you want to avoid at all costs. I mean, that's a bad day when you're behind the 8 ball and you're getting information. Hey, my texts aren't going anywhere. They're not being received.
Yeah. And God forbid you're trying to do this by yourself, because you come into the office on December 1 and you're trying to fill the form out. You're probably looking at 30 to 45 days where you're not going to be able to send text messages. And what we're really focused on here is helping people get ahead of the curve, whether it's December 1, January 1, February 1. It really pays to get this done and not have to worry about it, number one. And then number two, not try to get this all figured out on your own. With something as simple as Sabeeh just shown us, it's so much easier just to go ahead and get that piece done, get it off your plate, and not have to worry about the December 1 timeline.
So is there a place to go to find the resources I need to do this?
For sure. So hit our website. We're creosolutions.tech/10DLC. We've got a form there. You can read through what's all available, the possible impact to your business, and then do a quick form submit, and we'll get in touch with you as soon as we get that form.
Well, gentlemen, this has been really interesting. I am looking forward to doing ongoing podcasts and reels on this issue as this item continues to roll out. I'm sure you guys will have some updates, but for now, thank you very much indeed for joining me today.
Thanks,
Doug. Appreciate it.